Another week, another upgrade. My name is Gary Muttley. He is...
Len Carmichael. What's happening, Gary?
Oh, it's been a long week and it's only Monday.
Oh, boy, you don't even know.
Yeah,
It's been an absolute nightmare of a week for me. My dad is... he's older, and he's got some medical issues, and I just spent the last 2 days sitting in a hospital room while he was waiting for a couple procedures, and it's great because somebody's actually paying attention to him 24/7 right now, and before that, he was home from, let's call it 9 o'clock at night till 8 in the morning, and the other day he told me that at 4 a.m. that there were people trying to break into the house, which I know isn't true. What it is that he probably heard the college kids across the street.
Oh yeah,
coming home because they were probably partying, and he took it upon himself to wander the house half naked, and he was like, I had to check all the doors, and I'm like, dude, you could have fallen and killed yourself. Stay in the bed. So it's been a time. So this week is already shaping up to be a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, mine is much less interesting, just work, headache, meeting, bullshit. But,
hey,
I did go to another indie wrestling show this past weekend.
You did?
And this is becoming kind of a theme at this point, because we've talked about wrestling a lot. I went to a Jersey Championship Wrestling show in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, and that was a lot of fun. They had an interesting show where it was called Battle Bowl. It was randomly picked tag teams, and then it was a pool of 28 wrestlers, randomly picked tag teams against each other, and the winners of the tag team matches end up in a battle royal at the end. So it's 14 people in a battle royal, and the winner gets a ring. So it was kind of ridiculous because you had some funny teams put together that did not like each other, and then some pretty wild stuff went on. Unfortunately, one guy broke his ankle, which really sucked. But overall, it was a fun show. And speaking of wrestling, we talked about wrestling last week and talked about the VXS show that we went to. And we did mention a friend of ours who was on the show and said we were going to have him on. So we decided to have him on. Welcome to the upgrade, Mr. Steve Huey.
Hey,
also knows. Run down your personas. Who are you known as?
Dr. Cube. That's been lately, and my good friend American Beetle, who's the good guy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Funny story, by the way, about American Beetle. I don't remember if I told you this, but who was American Beetle before you?
Oh, some Australian kid.
Oh, but there at one point, Chris McGuckin was American Beetle.
Yes, he was.
Who I am actually friends with. I know him through the years through some mutual friends, and we used to hang out at the same bar a lot here in the Bronx. And then one day I randomly find out that he's American Beetle, and I'm like, "You're American Beetle? That's bizarre." And then years later, he's no longer American Beetle, and then suddenly I find out you're American Beetle. I'm like, how many American Beetles do I know?
You're collecting. You have an odd collection of knowing American Beetles.
Of all random people, I know 2 American Beetles. How many American Beetles do you know, Len?
Now 1.
There you go.
Just 1. And I didn't even know I knew him until just this moment.
Oh boy.
When will then be now?
Yes.
Soon.
So Dr. Cube, American Beetle, did you have any other gimmicks?
That's it for now.
I think my favorite thing about Dr. Cube is what we were discussing, is that you have that face wrap once the actual cube comes off, and people don't even recognize that it's you later on in the evening, and you're wandering around.
Just like when you're walking around with donuts or something.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need to touch on the federal donut story again, but it's pretty shocking, especially since like my arms are visible. Like I have all the same tattoos, and like you could very much see I'm a guy who does not have hair, just like Dr. Q. But I guess when you're just that angry and you love donuts, you're not going to recognize me.
Well, I guess people don't notice the tattoo thing because was it the VXS show that somebody else came out as Dr. Cube at first?
Yeah. Well, it's funny.
I'm like, that's not Steve.
Yeah. At first, a lot of people were like they're like, oh, it's him, and then because I was unannounced on that show, it was a surprise.
Right.
And then people started looking at it more, and then you could like tell they're like, wait a second, this guy's too tall and he doesn't look like him at all. And then were they in for a shock?
Surprise.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's like every time I see people at hardcore shows, I'm like, is that Steve Huey? Because there are like 3 people that kind of look like you, and I'm like, no, that's not Steve. I'm not gonna go talk to him.
Oh, but there's this other gimmick, by the way, Mr. American Flag Pants guy at This Is Hardcore.
Dude, I have been addressed by people I don't know that were like, oh, you're the Flag Pants Gold Teeth New York guy, right? And it's just like, what the fuck does that mean?
It means exactly what they said.
Or like, I'll come like running in with the pants on because I'll get caught in like a conversation like this one right before a band I want to watch, which has happened with Gary's band. And I'll come running in and you'll see people like, oh, like
he's here.
The pants. And I'm like, literally, these are pants I bought off Amazon that were described as seen in Napoleon Dynamite.
Do you think anybody wants to take a kick to the face in these bad boys?
Yeah. Rex Kwon Do, what's up? And it's funny because one year for Halloween, I dressed up as Rex Kwon Do, and every single person was like, what are you supposed to be? What is this? I don't get it.
And you're like, break the wrist, walk away.
Yeah.
Wow.
I absolutely love that movie. I absolutely love that movie.
You know, you want to hear something weird? A hot
You've never
take?
seen it?
No, I really didn't like it. I turned it off after 20 minutes.
Really?
Yes.
You don't have a sense of humor? Okay.
It's one of those things. It just really... I might eventually go back to it, but this was a long time ago. I put it on and couldn't get through it. That's one of a few movies that I've turned off in that short time frame because Pineapple Express was another one.
I hated that at first, and now it's fucking perfect.
I wasn't a huge fan of Pineapple Express. I wasn't. But so with Napoleon Dynamite, I feel like with comedies, they're like super rewatchable because they're quotable. They have all the good moments. Like I'm a huge fan of Other Guys and Step Brothers. I know, right?
Oh, really. Step Brothers. Step Brothers is amazing.
But Napoleon Dynamite is not one of those comedies. It's like a once a year, once every other year movie.
Yeah, I can't watch it every week or something like that. But occasionally when it's on TV, if there's literally nothing else to watch, I'm like, all right, I'll watch Napoleon Dynamite, and I'll laugh. And there are a couple lines in that movie where it's like completely repeatable for me. So like, teenager dinner.
The tater toss?
Yeah. Your mom goes to college. I could throw football over that mountain. Like, there's just like a couple things. My lips are chapped real bad when he's asking for the chapstick for, anyway, there's a couple of lines in that movie that are so fucking funny. But obviously, Gary, if you've never seen the movie, they're not funny to you because you just don't get the reference.
I will have to go back to it and give it another shot. But when I first tried it, like 20 minutes in, I was like, I can't take this shit.
The movie is absolutely absurd. Like, the concept of the movie is just ridiculous.
And I can deal with that. Like, I've watched some weird, stupid shit.
Oh, no, this is, like, extra stupid. This is like, hey, let's pretend we're in the 80s, but it's really in, like, the early 2000s, and everything about it's all, like, funky. But, honestly, the first time I watched it, I cried. And then the second time, it's still funny, and it's still at that same, like, baseline funny if I watch it now. It's not the funniest movie of all time by any stretch.
I'll agree to that. I agree to that.
I'll go back to it. I'll give it another shot.
I mean,
Have you ever
guys.
seen
what the fuck else are you doing with your life? Just go watch it.
Yeah, what am I doing? I'm sitting around watching fucking how much fucking Netflix can you watch? God damn it.
I don't think-
What did you say, Steve? Did I ever see what?
Have you ever seen Blades of Glory?
I saw it. I didn't like it.
I did not like it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna see if you liked him in like other movies. Maybe you just don't like that actor.
It's quite
Maybe.
possible.
Maybe, because Pineapple Express I should have known, because look at who was in that.
Oh, do you not like those guys either?
James Franco, I hate.
Wow.
And Seth Rogen, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, another one I can't stand.
And Danny.
You're on Terror Watch.
Danny McBride?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, Danny McBride I like. Eastbound and Down is fucking great.
Yo, the scenes with Danny McBride in it in Pineapple Express are fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's I don't even remember.
I'm just laughing thinking about
But-
it.
How do you
That
not like
was-
Seth Rogen though? Seth Rogen in Superbad is a classic.
So I can't stand Seth Rogen either.
You're a coward.
See, my first introduction to Seth Rogen was on that, like, Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, what a
Okay.
good show!
The
With
greatest-
James
great
Franco,
show.
motherfucker.
Yes, but the offshoot of watching that show is that pretty much everybody that's in that show is doing like big stuff now, or at least is still pretty much working. And like just the other day, I found myself sitting on the couch watching I Love You, Man, and that movie is absolutely hilarious. Did you ever watch that movie, Gary?
I don't think so.
Steve, did you see that?
Doesn't ring.
It sounds familiar. I don't know.
I'm familiar with it, but I don't think I ever watched it.
Dude, it's so ridiculous.
All right.
And it's not hate, because I just looked it up. There's people in there that I would actually watch it for, but it's one of those things I never got around to.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, Paul
So-
Rudd, Jason Segel, Rashida Jones. It's like pretty much a bunch of people that were in Freaks and Geeks,
Right.
Yeah.
or Wet Hot American Summer. Like it's a bunch of people that were in like that group of things going on in that time frame where they all kind of came up at the same time.
Wet Hot American Summer. I will never forget the scene where they're like, "You want to go to a super secret pizza party?" and then just push the kid out the fucking door while they're talking. That's
No.
still like the funniest thing like ever to me.
So how about this?
Okay.
Back in the day, this girl I used to go to high school with. We were gonna hang out, but it was not. It was well after high school because the movie came out well after I got out of high school. I graduated high school in '94, so long after that. But I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna bring a movie." She's like, "Oh, what movie are you bringing?" I was like, "I'm bringing Wet Hot American Summer," and she's like, "Oh, okay." And I get there, and then I whip the movie out, and she was like, "I totally thought you were bringing a porn."
I love it. I love that.
And I was like, what do you think? Who do you think I am? And she's like, and she's like, well, I mean, the name of the movie is pretty suggestive. And I was like, yeah, I get that, but you still said yes.
Didn't scare you away. You accepted it.
So that's my funny for Wet Hot American Summer.
You
Have
may
you
have been
ever watched-
hesitant, but you accepted it.
Have you ever watched Wet Hot American Summer with farts added in?
Yes, hilarious,
Yeah,
I didn't see
very
that.
good.
dude. So Gary, you've seen Wet Hot American Summer?
Yeah.
Okay, because that movie is just insane funny too.
Yeah.
Did they do a sequel to that? Was it a TV show?
It's like a 10-episode Netflix series.
Yeah.
I think it's like Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later or
Yeah.
10 years earlier.
Yeah, I forgot what it was called.
But I watched exactly 2 episodes of that and stopped because it was really not good.
I didn't
Yeah,
even bother
sorry.
with it.
It's a shame.
It waited too long. There's like a limit to
There
what you
were there were two follow-up Netflix series actually.
Really? Well, I watched 2 episodes of the first one.
First-
Didn't see the second one.
First Day of Camp and 10 Years Later.
Yeah, I saw the 10 years later one. I saw 2 episodes of that, as I said.
I never watched either one.
To prove your point wrong, Cobra Kai is a great show.
Okay, but that's 30 years later.
Yeah.
And it's not. They didn't call it Karate Kid. If they had called it Karate Kid, then it automatically has a chance to just.
Fair.
But this is a new spin on an old story, not just recycle the old name and give me something that's subpar. They gave me something good, and it doesn't have the exact same name. It's like a little extra. And Cobra Kai is really good at being campy 80s style in current times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfectly put.
I suggest everybody. I mean, if you liked Karate Kid, watch it. So what do you think they're going to do with this coming up season?
Oh my god, I don't even. I feel like every time they end
spoilers.
The season, it's like
time out.
Oh, sorry.
If you haven't watched Cobra Kai at this point, and you don't know what we were talking about, fast forward.
Yeah,
we're about to talk about a whole bunch of
like 10 minutes ahead or something.
We're not talking about Cobra Kai for 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
Nah. Okay, skip like 2 minutes.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, 2 minutes. Starting now.
Every time they end a season of it, it's always the most insane, batshit crazy fucking ending.
Yo, that fight scene at the end of that episode. The end of that. What was that? The second season, or was that the end of the first season?
No, I think that's the first where he's falling.
Yeah.
That's definitely. I think it's first season.
Yeah, I think it was the first season.
What the fuck was that shit?
Wait, no, because Tori didn't show up till the end of till the second season, so it was the end of the second season.
Yep. Okay. No.
So.
No, because second season he's like regaining like his movements, right?
I watched it all in like a week, so
I did the same thing. That was one of those things that after we talked about it on here one time, I went and binged the shit for a week. So which seems to be a pattern that Len and I have, where we
talk about it and then we binge it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, then binge it.
And that kid got fucked up, and it was insane.
No, it was the end of the second season that he fell, because the beginning of season 3 was when he was fighting for his life still.
Oh, I forgot there was 3 seasons.
Yeah, so we're about to be on season 4. Oh. So what I know is that they're bringing back Terry Silver for season 4. But what I want to know from both of you, do you think that they're going to reveal that Tori's mother is the next Karate Kid? What's her name? Brain fart right now.
I forgot her name too. God damn it.
What's her goddamn Hilary Swank? Because I feel like that's who they're going to throw in here. Because the only other female character they could throw in would be the girlfriend from, the assumed girlfriend from part 3. So it's one or the other one.
I gotta go revisit some of these Karate Kid movies. I don't remember the third one.
The third one is when he gets back from Japan and he's moping about Kumiko, and then he meets Robin, who's he meets Jessica, who's played by Robin Lively.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I forgot all that.
I had an obsession with the Karate Kid when I was a kid.
I love that.
Because the first Karate Kid came out in like 84, so I was about 8. And then by the time the third one came out, it was like 1989 or something like that. And that's exactly when it was. So I was 13. I was still all on board. But then when they hit me with the next Karate Kid in I guess it was like 93, I was like, nah, I'm good.
Nah.
This is terrible.
Shit is trash.
This predates Cobra Kai, but have you ever heard the stand-up comedian Gary Gulman and heard his Karate Kid bit?
No.
I'm sure I have. I'm trying to remember
it. It's very good. It's like 3-4 minutes long tops. It's so good.
Okay.
I've seen him before. I don't remember the Karate Kid thing off the top of my head, but I'm sure if I watch it, it'll come back to me.
He does a whole bit, like a whole minute alone about just Mr. Miyagi. It's awesome.
Did you guys ever notice in the first Karate Kid that the girls ask him about his bike, and he says it's a Miyagi Turbo, but it was before, in the movie, the way the movie's set up, it's before he's even met Mr. Miyagi. So they cut the movie together wrong.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Love how in-depth you are, like, in with these movies. This is...
So one time I went to California, and I went alone because I had lost my job, and I broke up with my girlfriend, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go out there. I had a couple friends that lived there. I have some cousins that live in California, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to California. So one of the days I spent just driving around taking pictures of myself in front of Karate Kid locations, but the phone, I can't get them off the phone at this point. So They're just sitting on this like dead phone.
Oh,
but
that sucks.
I went to the fucking amusement park video game spot. I went to the house that Allie lived in. I went to the Cobra Kai location. I just went all over for a day, just driving around taking pictures. It was fucking hilarious.
That's sick.
Yeah, so you guys are really good with all that stuff. I like those movies, but I'm not like, I'm only photographic memory if it's Marvel or fucking Star Wars. Everything else is like, yeah, it's cool. Like, I don't really remember that, but like, I could recite line for line fucking Empire Strikes Back.
Well, I could do.
Or some fucking whacked out other science fiction shit.
See, the movie that I can do line for line with no hesitation is definitely Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh,
Hence my screen name on Instagram.
Really? That's the movie you're going with?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
All right,
there's
Steve,
a lot of good shit in there.
You gotta.
Matthew Broderick is always going to be tainted for me.
What?
Why?
Godzilla.
I didn't even see it. So.
Dude, listen, I'm a diehard Godzilla fan, and I could put that shit to the side. That shit just doesn't exist. That's the easiest way to deal with it.
Yeah. It's
because that's not a Godzilla movie. First of all.
Yeah.
So let me roll back the clock for you for a minute here, Steve. The year is 1986.
I'm not born.
You're not born. I'm 10. And I'm in camp.
I'm like 13. God damn it.
And all summer, it's raining. So anytime it's raining at camp, we can't do outdoor activities. So they're like, hey, you've got 3 choices. We can go to the library. We can go bowling, which sometimes I chose, which we can get into that conversation later. And then the other option is go to the movies. So I went and saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off probably 10 times in the theater that summer.
I love that.
Because it was a PG-13 movie. I was 10. It was close enough. And they would buy the ticket, and my ass would go. So, for me, it's a classic movie. Because it just is what it is. It's funny. It's fun. It's classic John Hughes. And it does suck that the only black character in it steals a car. But it is.
I never thought about that until just now.
The Hispanic character and the black character steal the fucking Ferrari and take it for a joyride. And there are no other speaking parts for black characters in that movie.
How has that movie not been canceled?
I might have just canceled it.
Yeah, there you go. You broke the light onto it.
I never put that together at all. Wow.
Dang.
I put that together way young. Because the only time you see other black characters in the movie are in the dance section where he's doing the Twist and Shout song and everybody's like dancing in the crowd. And then there's like one black kid at the school running on the track when his sister is trying to catch him being out of school, and she's like sitting by her car. You can see one guy go by, but otherwise there aren't any. And just the same as Breakfast Club, there are 0 black characters in that movie.
I'm not even realizing that. Holy shit. There's not.
John Hughes doesn't really put black characters in his movie, and if you go back and look at any of them, including Uncle Buck, there are none.
Well, you didn't cancel Ferris Bueller. You just canceled
John Hughes.
Cancel John Hughes.
Yeah. Bye. See ya.
Fuck that guy.
but he makes great movies. So, Pretty in Pink, good movie. 16 Candles, none. And the only thing that they did was make fun of Long Duck Dong. No more Yankee my wanky, the donga needs food.
Oh my god.
Exactly. It's fucking terrible, but the movie is so good that you kind of ignore all the bullshit around it.
You giving him a pass?
Yeah. Sign of the times?
I mean...
I'm not. It's not a pass. It just is what it is. He can't go backwards and remake the movie. He's fucking dead. I would like to see that. I'd like to see him come back and do it. Zombie John Hughes.
Yeah, just direct it again.
That sounds like the plot of a movie all by itself. Just
all right. I guess I got something to write.
Hey, we resurrected John Hughes. Told him he's got to write one more movie. Oh my God.
So, Steve, let me ask you this.
Hi.
How did you find hardcore?
Okay. So I have no older brothers or sisters or anything like that, but I had a friend in, we'll say, 7th or 8th grade who had an older brother who started a pop punk band, and he was like, "Oh, you guys should come to our show," and we were like, "Of course we will," because we're little. So saving up lunch money for the week and then going. It was at a place called Castle Golf, which now is a different miniature golf place, and Brand New actually played there. I don't know if we can talk about that band anymore. But they played there several times. But they would play, and then there would be a screamo band would play, or a band that was heavier would play. And then me being the little idiot I am, would be like, "Oh, let me get your CD." And then they would have links on their really badly done Angel Fire websites that would go to throwback. That would have links to their other friends' bands, and then I would just discover all these weird local bands, and then since I wasn't a wealthy kid and I didn't have shit tons of money to blow at shows on merch and everything, whenever a distro was there, I would always buy the samplers because it would be $1, and it'd be "Oh look, I just bought a CD with 100 bands on it."
So going to shows these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I would buy the sampler, and then you just check out band from there. And then shortly after, MTV2 started playing stuff like AFI or Rise Against, or these are funny examples, I guess, or Glassjaw was on there a few times, I think, in the morning. I remember getting ready in the morning for school, and these videos would be playing.
So that puts you at we'll call it 2000. This is 2003, 2004.
Yeah, that's a really good timestamp. Okay, yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay, just trying to put my mind around the time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Glassjaw started earlier, but they were probably in full swing by then.
Yeah, they weren't on TV until a little after 2001. So
right.
Yeah. And then I remember I was going to go to Warped Tour. I want to say it was 2003 or 2004. And whoever is a nerd will find this out. But on that compilation for the Warped Tour, with all the bands they're playing, Poison the Well was on it, and bands like that. And then I remember being "Oh, this is sick."
So it had to be the stuff off of Tear from the Red, though, not even.
No, I think it might have been. It's either Tear from the Red or it was the next album You Come Before You or something. Yeah, that one. I think there were newer songs that were coming out on that.
Okay, so then that makes it 2004. Because You Come Before You, because the opposite of December was 99, and then Tear from the Red was 2001, and then You Come Before You was 2004, I think. And honestly, I didn't ever listen to that fucking record.
Yeah, I gotta double check the songs, but I think it's on You Come Before You. Okay. But either way, and then I want to say I was using Kazaa at the time.
Nice.
I would get all my...
you were getting fucking viruses on your computer?
Yep.
Yes, that too. And this is right around the time where cable modems were a thing. And like you had high-speed internet.
Nice.
So I was a downloading machine. And it was funny because no one else in my house used internet. They were like, they didn't understand it. And I was like, I want to download music. We got to get it. And play video games like StarCraft. Yeah, but then you download stuff and then Soulseek came out, and that was a game changer.
Oh boy, Soulseek.
It was a good one. I know people that still use that shit.
Really?
There are people that still use that shit. It blows my mind. Somebody mentioned that to me more recently, and I was just like, wow, people still use Soulseek?
Crazy.
So,
and
on
yet
that
somehow they do.
That could look this shit up real quick. And it was the 2003 tour compilation for Warped Tour. So it was 2003. And it was Poison the Well, Pieces of You, In Me is the song. And yes, it is probably off of You Come Before You.
Yeah, because it looks like they did do the Warped Tour that year. So
at Randall's Island.
And other bands on that are Suicide Machines, which I love them.
Oh, okay. So real quick story. At that Warped Tour, they played, and they were like, see that ice cream man over there? And like, big ice cream truck, Mr. Softy will say. And everyone's like, yeah! They were like, flip that ice cream truck with the people in it. And me being like a little kid, I got to go flip off the ice cream truck, and then they flipped it. And inside, and this isn't like I guess I don't really need to point this out, but I'm gonna anyway, were these two like little old Asian people who are just throwing full cans of Pepsi at these kids to be like, stop!
Oh my god.
Yo, free Pepsi, baby, free Pepsi.
It was awesome. Looking back, I feel terrible now talking about it, but it was I didn't participate in the flipping of the truck, but flipping
Sure you didn't. Okay, buddy. So in 2003, I wasn't at Warped Tour. I was at fucking Hellfest in fucking where is Syracuse?
Yeah, that was the last year, Syracuse, and then 2004 was New Jersey, and I did go to that one.
We were all at that one.
Yeah. We've discussed that one a few times on here.
I did not go to day 3 though. True story.
You didn't? Okay.
Oh, you missed all the fun.
Yeah.
My band played day 3.
Ooh.
I was there day 2 and day 3.
Because I smashed my shoulder to bits, moshing to Nothing Left to Mourn. And because somebody moved out of the way and I hit the fucking sound booth. And I couldn't fucking lift my arm. So I'm like trying to play these riffs the next day with a fucking busted arm.
Ugh.
Well, you guys played early that day, right?
It's like second on the basketball stage. So there was like 3.
We got there later.
It mattered 0. I'm not going to mention the band name because it literally doesn't matter. They didn't even tape us. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I was there.
Wait, say that again?
Oh, I was going to say, to put things in perspective, this was the first time at like a show I had ever seen major injuries. Like, I remember it was during the Red Chord. Someone stage dove in front of me, and everyone moved out of the way. He landed like on his feet and then immediately went into a seizure. And I was like, oh, that's terrifying. And then during Caliban, that person who jumped from
the
balcony
and broke both
his legs and his back. What a fucking jackass.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And I remember just seeing real deal injuries like that, and I'm like, oh, this is terrifying.
And these are parts of the reason why Hellfest never happened again. You're pointing out exact reasons why Hellfest 2005 couldn't get insurance.
Add it to the list. Between those and
Public Enemy.
Between those and the bleachers and so many other things. I was there day 2 and day 3. No Redeeming Social Value played on day 2, and I was helping them out. And then we came back for day 3, and we're hanging out in the lot with Mike from Bad Luck, who was showing us the goat heads that had been sitting in the hot truck for days that would be used as projectiles later on.
Was Schlack there?
I don't know. I certainly would not have known him back then.
Because I feel like he was still rolling with them at that point. or was rolling with them at that point. The only person in Bad Luck that I personally know is Dennis.
Yeah, I know Dennis. Well, Mike doesn't really roll with them anymore. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen him in years, but Mike used to come to Castle Heights a lot, so we were always hanging out, and he was showing us that, and he was he was in the parking lot melting beer cans with his flamethrower.
Oh, okay. Just casually with the flamethrower?
Yeah, whatever.
Well, because we walked to Glenn's car because Glenn had beers in his car. We walked to Glenn's car to get beers. It was me, Glenn, and Phil Irate. And then as we're walking back, we see Mike holding something, and we see a beer can on the ground, and then we just see the beer can disappear from like far away. And then as we get closer, we realize he's just melting these empty beer cans with the fucking flamethrower.
That's insane.
So they're just going flip. And we were like, oh, this is going to be one of these kind of parties. And then he showed us the goat heads, and like Kurt from DRI comes up to talk to us, and then like sees the goat heads and is kind of freaked out and was like, okay, gotta go, guys. We're just like, oh my God, this is ridiculous.
So what bands did you come to that Hellfest to see, Steve? Did you have like a list in your mind that you were like trying to go see? And if it wasn't Prayer for Cleansing, why wasn't it?
It was not. I remember being really excited for Full Blown Chaos, and then I remember when they were done, the wall was completely destroyed.
Because they played the really tiny room, the dinosaurs.
Yeah, the wall looked like Swiss cheese after.
Yeah, I can't imagine why.
I remember the only time I ever got to see Figure 4 was in that room. I remember seeing Agnostic Front, E-Town, Until the End. Andrew WK was a big one. But wait, did he play day 3? No, he played I think after.
I think he played day 2.
E-Town. I believe after E-Town.
Because day 3 later on was like Fear Factory.
Yes, right. Which I'm bummed I missed that. Now, because I secretly like Fear Factory, but let's move on.
There should be no secret to liking Fear Factory,
dude. Okay. There's no shame in liking Fear Factory around here. I've seen them many times.
Strong memory of Killswitch Engage selling KFC knockoff shirts and not really understanding why. Sure. There was a band from Australia I really wanted to see called Day of Contempt, and then I saw them and they were good. And then like they put out another album and it was like a pop album, and I was really confused by it. Comeback Kid was like cool at the time. And I say cool because they were like good too, and now they are not.
Yeah, they're definitely not my thing anymore. But that first record is
Turn It
so
Around
good.
was very good, and that was all they were playing at the time.
I actually got turned on to them at that show. I wasn't familiar with them at all, and they went on right before No Redeeming. So I was like helping them set up, and I'm like, who's this? And the crowd was totally into them, and I watched them, and I got totally into them. And I don't hate their other stuff like you guys apparently do, but I know it's different.
I'm not going to say I hate it.
It's just not good.
Yeah.
I like it. Some of it.
Hey, your prerogative, son.
Terror was good. Caliban was awesome. I remember that being like the sickest shit.
Did you see Sworn Enemy that day?
That was literally the last time Caliban was good, though. Can we be serious about this?
I've seen them play like America After, and they played all those songs. So I was into it.
Okay.
And the Red Chord was really good. And then at the time, the Banner was playing all of the like
the Murder mixtape and
yeah,
and that was really good too. That was when they first got signed, and the word just got out. I remember. I also remember a very small person, because I don't know what word we're allowed to use anymore, who looked like Beetlejuice from Howard Stern.
Mini Vinny.
Wearing a prison outfit, just running into people nonstop, and I cannot lose that memory for some reason.
Mini Vinny. I know Mini Vinny.
I think he's talking about Mini Vinny.
Yep.
You see him at shows and...
Yep.
Have to cover your nuts.
Yep.
Because you were catching it.
Super nice guy. Super nice kid. But the fists were at the perfect height for just absolute ball obliteration.
Yep. Cover up.
But that Hellfest was cool. Really good. I enjoyed it.
Did you see Sworn Enemy that weekend?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
I didn't see No Redeeming either because I'm a piece of shit apparently.
I mean,
you didn't know about him.
Yeah, that's also true. But
that and those big ass festivals is like you're gonna miss bands.
Yeah, that was another frustrating thing. That was like, I remember at Warped Tour I had to deal with that, but I remember at this you like really had to deal with it.
Well, because it was packed with cool bands that you might want to see.
Oh yeah, and they were all in different parts of the building
and overlapping, and the paths to get to those places were all fucking convoluted and jammed up. I actually was taking like long loops around the merch area to get to other sections because it was easier than trying to walk your way through the physical crowd.
No. Yeah, it was a nightmare. Because you got to go from this soccer field to that soccer field and all the way across and all this other shit.
You kind of detailed how you ended up here.
Yeah.
What's got you to stay? Like, what keeps you coming back to hardcore stuff?
Oh, I'm at that point where I don't know anymore. I guess just to go see friends, and then like, oh yeah, this band's playing, and I kind of like them. That's cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm one of those jerks that's really bad at checking out new bands. I hate that I'm like that too, but I'm definitely one of those right now.
That's me. My exposure to new bands at this point are bands that come into my studio. Otherwise, I don't know anything that's going on right now.
I try, but it's hard, especially at shows because like I want to watch some of the other bands, but then you see guys you haven't seen in a while, and suddenly you're outside and hanging out, and it's just like shit. I wanted to watch this band, but
or let's add on to this.
Okay.
There's been a lot of music that's come out since the pandemic started.
Yeah.
And so much of it has gone by me, and there are all these new bands that are playing shows for kind of the first time now, and like I have no idea what they are, and it's not pulling me to go to a show. It's literally I'm just lost. And how did you keep up with any of it? Because I struggled.
I'm gonna be real. I definitely did. Maybe like one or two things here or there, but I can't even like really name off the top of my head what they were. The only time I like really looked forward to music, like, or I guess newer music during the pandemic, was that one time I saw you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you see me?
In Pittsburgh.
Oh, so okay. So yeah. That was right at the beginning of the pandemic, though. That was like fucking April 2020, when everybody. That was thinking back, going to play that show. I'm perfectly fine with my choice to have done it. I wore my mask the whole time, and like I sat outside for a lot of it, like on the bed of the SUV that I brought, and just like kind of chilled outside. And then when it was our turn to play, I was inside. But whatever, that shit was like irresponsible. Like super irresponsible. And like I'm like looking back, I'm like, man, we thought we knew what we were getting ourselves into, but then like the explosion of last summer and all the numbers, and then the secondary explosion of like the Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's rush that carried on through like March or May of 2021. Like we literally had no idea the potential damage, because like it was still so new and everybody was still kind of like really dumb about the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like looking back, I'm like, oh man, that was really fucking dumb. But I had a good time and I did not get sick from it. So it is what it is.
I remember being surprised that show happened.
Same. But
fun observation about that. And this is a fun hardcore politic thing, is how no one involved with that show caught any shit. And then some young kids, like 2 months later, did something on Long Island, or maybe it was like 2 months before, and they got obliterated by the internet because they did some show with like 30 people at like some shitty bar on Long Island, and
Yeah.
it was like all over the internet, and like those kids got destroyed. But I just think it's funny how one group doesn't and one group does. But whatever.
Just is what it is, man.
The only thing that I could say is that I guess at that point, like, New York was already tight about shit.
Yep.
So that was part of it. Like, Pennsylvania, I guess, wasn't the same. That's the only thing that I can really think of. And I'm not justifying it at all. But, like, you know, New York, you had a governor that was, like, shutting down everything.
Then governor, now enemy? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
then governor, now gone.
Jackass.
Or almost gone. But
I was
that's the only difference that I really see.
Not to give away your location, but I was blown away when you told me last weekend or 2 weekends ago where you kind of live, and I'm like, I see you far too often for you to live all the fucking way out there. Like, what are you doing with yourself traveling to all these goddamn places all the time? Stay home.
Yeah, 'cause you're always in different places all the time.
I know. I hate staying home. It's the worst. I'll throw out a reveal. Long Island is very boring. It is so boring. But if you're okay with boring, it's the best place to be.
I got to tell you, I have never actually been in Long Island. The closest I've been is like the outskirts of Brooklyn or JFK.
Really? You never played Long Island even?
No,
in all these years? Wow.
He's not in cool guy bands.
I'm not in any cool guy. I'm not in any.
On Long Island.
Yeah, because like even when we were friends with like the sanctioned dudes before they blew up, they would not bring Descent out to fucking Long Island. So it just was like whatever. It was talked about, but it just never happened, and none of my other bands ever got an invite. So we just never. I've never played Long Island. I've never had a reason to be out there. The Shaker's Pub, the place you're talking about, I think, it had that show. That's the closest I've been to Long Island. Because while they'll say that's Long Island, I feel like that's really not Long Island.
Shaker's Pub is definitely very much
Shaker's is Long Island for sure.
Is it?
It's pretty out there, actually.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's that far out. All right, so then I've been to Long Island once. It was Descent and Rock Bottom and a couple other bands playing together there, and there was exactly 9 people that paid to get in.
I didn't even hear about this show, and I think I would have heard this with you and Rock Bottom on it. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a good time. Like, we played really well. I think one other band from our area was on it too. It might have been Departed. I don't remember, but I know that we were there and we shared equipment with Rock Bottom, and each of us played to no more than 12 people.
Wow.
I was definitely out of town then, and I feel bad. I'm sorry.
You should feel bad. That's why I'm telling the story right now. I want you to cry.
Jeez.
How dare you not be at the show?
I'm in my emotions right now.
Are you trapped in a glass case of them?
Yes.
So, to transition this talk about where we're at with the pandemic into the other section of your life that we're attuned with, what about indie wrestling during the pandemic?
Oh, okay. So, I predominantly work for this company called Kaiju Big Battle, which is like, think of like Godzilla and Power Rangers, but in like a wrestling ring. And there's like little cities and everything. And before the pandemic, we were doing quite well. And we had like 1 to 2 shows every month in different cities, different wherever. We even went over to England. It was great. It was great. And then the pandemic hit, and you can't do an event like that. Some indie wrestling companies, mostly deathmatch ones, were like, "Oh, we're gonna run in a barn somewhere in South Jersey, and guys will fight near horse shit. And that's okay, whatever." And fans wanting to go see something, they just went and saw it.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I seen it.
Yeah. It happened a few times with a few companies, but we'll keep them nameless. And then I had a booking, and I didn't really ever do outside bookings because the characters that we had, sometimes we'd do like crossovers with wrestling shows, and sometimes people would be like, why are these cartoon characters here? Even though I like an undead guy called The Undertaker. But why are these guys who are slightly different here? Oh!
Yeah.
That's wrestling fans.
Wrestling fans can be a little weird.
But moving along, so I had a friend who lives in North Dakota. He runs a great promotion called Time Bomb Pro. I highly recommend checking them out. North Dakota is not awesome, but he is, and his promotion is. And he was like, hey, you should come, like, to have, like, a kaiju match out here. And I was like, yeah, sure, this would be great. And then the pandemic hit. But then he was like, hey, it's opening up a little bit here. Do you want to come? And then I did. And it, like, went on IWTV, and people saw it, and people liked it. And then it kind of steamrolled, and I got hit up by, like, a few other companies, including Limitless, which is the best wrestling in all of New England.
Yep.
Easily. And the guy, this kid, Randy Carver, who is, like, 23 years old, he's, like, 6'4", has made Maine into a territory again. Like, he could do anywhere in Maine. The show is doing hundreds to thousands of people. It's awesome. But he hit me up because they were doing tapings. He's like, hey, do you want to do these? We could mix in, like, some of our wrestlers in with your characters or whatever. And I went, yep, let's do it. One match, I got hit by a car. It was nuts.
Jesus.
I kind of remember seeing, like, footage of that somewhere pop
Yeah.
up.
I got thrown down a flight of stairs. It was a really, like, interesting weekend. We did, like, promos in front of Stephen King's house. Just, like, walked up his driveway and just started doing promos in front of his house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he come outside?
I wish he would have. Oh, I would have included him in a second. Apparently he's really nice. Apparently he's, like, and then it's really sad, too, because, like, his house is, like, everything you'd expect it to look like.
Like,
and then right next door is just a house with gigantic Trump flags all over it. And you're like, revive guy. But yeah, after that, like, so that was, I guess that would still be 2020. I guess that was around, like, September-ish. Yeah. And then once we got into 2021, like, the world was getting better. I, for one, was vaccinated. And indie wrestling has just been, like, taking off. And it's sick. The old a lot of the foreigners haven't been able to get involved. And they are all like, oh, the Japanese, they do wrestling better than anyone.
Oh, yeah.
It's sick. But
if I ever go back, I have to see a wrestling show over there. It's a must.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then WrestleMania weekend came up, and a company called VXS talked to me, and they're like, hey, we want you to work JTG from Crime Time as Dr. Cube. And that doesn't make any sense, but it's great. And WrestleMania weekend is usually, like, for the independent companies, is nothing but, like, insane matches, like, stuff like you could dream of and be like, this will never happen. But then it does happen.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I spent that whole weekend in front of my TV. Like, I planned it all out. I was just like, I'm watching all this indie stuff that's going on.
I, like, lost you there, Gary. What'd you say?
I was saying that weekend, I made sure I wasn't doing anything, and I just watched TV that whole weekend.
Yeah.
Just watched all the indie stuff. I watched that VXS show that you were on. I watched a whole bunch of other stuff all weekend.
I was
like,
on
from the time it started till, like, noon or whatever, all day.
Like I said, I was on some other shows, but this is, like, the one that's worth talking about. And then, like, Big Cass did the run-in, and that was, like, a big deal for a lot of people because he was, like, a big TV guy. And then me and JTG started doing deathmatch stuff, and people were very confused by that. But it was very entertaining.
I definitely wasn't expecting that.
And, yeah. And then it's just been a downhill in a good way from there on out. And indie wrestling right now is just, it's crazy how big it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely in like a weird boom period, and it's strange how like the pandemic did that, but it's very much in a boom period. It's also interesting that deathmatch wrestling in particular is like it's always been kind of taboo and like slightly frowned upon, but now it's like, whoa, this cool thing, we like this.
I think the deathmatch stuff especially has been building for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or what, but just in the past 2 years, it's just gone huge. But even just the general indie wrestling has been building up, and now because you've got all these different places to watch it, because the JCW show I went to yesterday was live on YouTube, but then there's tons of other stuff on IWTV, which if you don't know what IWTV is, you pay one price, like a monthly subscription, and you get access to a ton of live shows, a ton of archive shows on demand, all kinds of stuff.
Like $10.
Yeah. And then
the Fight.
Yeah, and then you've got stuff on Fight that's more like standard pay-per-view. And then there's other streaming services also. And there's just so much content out there and so many live broadcasts and so much to watch. And I have to say the quality on it, not I'm not even talking about the video quality, but just the quality of the workers is so good right now.
Agreed.
It's not like you get some hack shit where it's just some guy like you used to see even in the 90s when I got back into wrestling, where you see these guys and it's like the guy looked like he came straight from his job at the gas station. Like these guys look like they can actually work and actually do shit, and they're doing a lot of cool stuff. So it's not like a sloppy botchamania mess.
Let me ask both of you guys this.
Shoot.
You're talking about the all these independents doing really well. Are we getting back to like late 60s, 70s, early 80s where like everybody had their own little territories and it's basically like fuck Vince at this point? Is that where we're at?
I
Slowly?
don't really. It's weird because like I did say Maine earlier, but that's like a small like small town state, I guess you'd say. Where
okay.
I don't know. But I don't think it would ever happen in like a Philadelphia or anything like that, or like New York. There's so many more complications now. Like New York, like the athletic commission has like ruined wrestling. Like people don't want to even like do it in New York. They always just want to do it in New Jersey. I don't think crowd levels will ever be at what they are ever again. And it goes like back to hardcore shows too. Like me and Mike Score have had this conversation before. Where like if you look at kids now today, they get into things and they're early 20s. Like when we were getting into stuff, you were in like I you know, you guys are older than me, but like you were like a teenager like when you got into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be weird to go to a show nowadays and be like, oh, look at that 16-year-old at his first show. It's weird unless they're like with their dad. But like today, kids have so many other outlets and so many other things, whether it's like video games and like they can just play live and all this other kind of crazy stuff. And it's like, why do they need these outlets? You know what I mean? But I feel like when it comes to indie wrestling, like people do go and like you'll see good crowds of like a few hundred, maybe even, you know, 1,000, almost 2,000. But like if you go back and you listen to those numbers from like the 80s or even like early 90s, like some of those places were doing insane numbers.
Oh, yeah.
For like regional TV too. Like I don't think we'll ever be at that again, but I don't think wrestling will ever be in a place again where it's like hurting for like crowds.
No, I think, and tell me if you agree with me on this. I think the business has changed a lot, and I was having a conversation with somebody about this recently. You know, there's a lot of talk about Vince McMahon and how he says AEW isn't really competition and stuff like that. I think the problem now with Vince and with other people in general is that they don't realize that everything is competition. That it's not just about like what wrestling company is better, because wrestling companies aren't necessarily in competition with each other. They're in competitions with all kinds of other things for that entertainment dollar. Because that same kid will go and play a video game instead, or watch Netflix instead, or watch some other shit instead, and everybody's fighting over that because the content is so easy to get now. Yes. Like I was saying, with IWTV, with Fight, with all these things, dude, I go in my living room, I turn on my TV, and I can have live indie wrestling, I can have live UFC or other MMA stuff, I could have live anything. Or I could have, on-demand TV shows or this or that. All the content is there, so it's really a battle of content. And I don't think it's as simple as wrestling in competition with wrestling. I think it's all competition for that entertainment dollar. And I think Vince, more than anybody, has completely lost track of that. And he's getting closer and closer to losing the battle. And I don't think, like you said, those numbers are never going to be the same as what they were, because it's never going to be, just because the massive amount of content, and I'm not talking about pro wrestling, I'm talking about everything, because of the massive amount of content that's out there, you're never going to get as many people watching wrestling as you would have gotten in the nights, the days of the Monday Night Wars. But you're still going to have people interested. Because that show that I went to yesterday, there wasn't a huge crowd there. Yeah. There were maybe 100 people there. But everybody was into it and everybody was enjoying it. And that's really the best you can ask for at this point. Because you're not, very rarely are you going to fill a big place with indie wrestling anymore. It's just because there's so many other things out there.
Yeah, I agree what you're saying. I think when it comes to the E, as they, for the longest time, it was just, there was no competition. Like, no matter what, like, no one else could come anywhere near it. And to them, that's just like, they probably just were on that pedestal for so long, and now that, like, it's kind of crumbling, they don't really realize it yet. I don't know, but I'm sure they'll always be financially stable, and they'll always be financially fine. But there are just so many more options at such easy access to people. And then the fact that, like, a lot of their fans have just constantly been complaining about how they don't like this, they don't like that. And then there's all these other options out there where they can see the stuff that they want to see.
Yeah.
And it's not hard to get to, and it's very easy to find.
Absolutely. And I think part of that also is that a lot of people just got turned off from wrestling because of the stuff that they've done. And I think one of the things with AEW now is that they're slowly starting to build that trust again. And the indie shows are too. Yeah. But it's a different type of crowd, because just like talking about coming from like the Warped Tour to like hardcore shows, it's like that's that gateway. So people will watch AEW and then be more interested in maybe going to check out a small show. Okay. Sort of like the Warped Tour gets kids to maybe go to a club show. And it's that, but also there's a whole other factor of it with trust and rewarding fans, as opposed to just pissing them off and turning them away from the product in general, which I think is what Vince McMahon has been doing lately.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think AEW, and I keep mentioning them just because they're the other biggest player in the game right now, I think AEW is doing a good job of building that trust up again, and it's going to help with all of that.
Sounds about right. To like segue a little bit, like for because I heard you say it on the last podcast where you mentioned how like you can go to the big arena show, but like the club shows just have that vibe, and it's like cooler.
Oh yeah.
I worked the show in Brooklyn over the weekend. I invited you to it, Gary, but you're Mr.
Yeah, I had to work.
Yeah, okay.
I had to go make that money.
I respect that too. So I invited a bunch of coworkers because you always have those people that are like, "Oh, I want to come see what you do." They don't sound like that. But so I.
Those are the same. Those are the same people that. Oh, you're in a hardcore band? You mean like Limp Bizkit?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, that screamy stuff, right? The screaming music. Yeah, the screaming.
It sounds like Metallica, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, like Five Finger Death Punch?
Oh god.
I've never heard that one before. That's a yikes.
Oh, I've heard.
Sounds like. Never mind. I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say something.
Self-censoring.
But invite them to this like off the grid show in Brooklyn. Not even really supposed to be happening, and it's in some place where I don't even know what it was used for. Some other weird event like thing, and they're like, "Oh, we just really want to see what you do, Steve," and then. Here I come out as this evil box-headed scientist who is now sticking barbecue skewers into this little guy from Pittsburgh's head and getting thrown on thumbtacks, and they're just like, "Oh my god, this is what you do on weekends?" And
I could totally relate to that.
Coming into work today was a very interesting experience.
I can totally relate to that. Having had work people come to see my band, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably a little different from what you're used to. Just make sure you stay in the back. And they're just like, oh my god, they're punching each other.
You always get that one coworker that it's like, no, I want to be up front for it. And
you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
And then you're like, no. And they have to also touch on current events. So that guy with the full beer, he's got to stand in the front. And then you guys start playing fucking chin music, and there goes the beer, there goes the coworker,
and then he wants to fight everybody in the room, and you're like, look, I can't save you. You're on your own now.
Yeah, and then your coworker now wants to fight your friends, and it's really awkward.
And then you get fired at work the next day.
Yeah, that can get a little weird. I never had it that bad, luckily. But that's
so.
Now it's easy because now it's just like, yeah, watch this video on YouTube. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Well,
and then they're like, oh, okay, I don't need to see it in person.
I got a funny story for that. I got my old department had a reorg, and in the reorg they brought in a new executive director, and we got to talking, and when I was talking to him, I happened to be wearing, because we've been working from home, and he was hired while we were all working from home. Yeah. So I had a hoodie on when we had our first one-on-one together, and it was a CBGB's hoodie. And I leaned forward, and it just kind of came into the picture. And he goes, "Is that a CBGB's hoodie?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I used to go there all the time in the early 90s, and I would go see all the fucking shows there." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I saw the Gorilla Biscuits. I saw this. I saw the Cro-Mags. I love the Cro-Mags." And I'm like,
"What?
Wait, what?"
So weird.
We had like a 20-minute conversation that led up to him asking me, "Hey, have you ever seen the videos on Hate 56?" And I'm like, I was like, "You clearly weren't paying attention." I was like, "If you watch any of those videos, you'll see at the beginning a lot of them say my name on them." He's like, "Wait, what?"
That's so weird.
And so what it comes down to, he's like, "Well, the reason I found them is because I went to This Is Hardcore in Philadelphia. Have you ever been to that?" I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah, I've been to it.
Twice.
Yeah. And he was like, "Yeah, I went, I guess it was 2017. He was there. I was there on Saturday and Sunday." I was like, "Well, what time did you get there on Sunday?" And he was like, "I was there for the first band." And I was like, "Descent was the first band." He was like, "Yeah, they were really good." I was like, "You didn't notice, but because we didn't know each other, I'm in Descent." And he's like, "What?" And then we're talking, and he's like, "I have totally seen your band, and I downloaded all your music on the internet." I'm like, "There you go, guy."
Nice.
That's sick. That's actually turned out way better than I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, no, and like he was like, I'm too old for this now, so now when I go, I just stand in the back. But I always get the urge to go up front. And I mean, this guy, he's in control of some serious shit at my job, and he's into like punk and hardcore shit. So there are a bunch of us sneaking around in the shadows.
So similar story, but a little bit more awkward and embarrassing. At my job, there's like tons of different departments, and this one guy who, you know, like when you work at like a bigger place, like you'll casually see people and like you say hi to them, but you don't really know their name, or like you have small talk with them. This one guy, I would like run into him every once in a while, and he would always wear like really like funny band hoodies. And then one time he goes, "Hey, wait, I gotta ask you a question." And I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Is this you in this video?" And it was an 856 video, but it was when Sanction replaced, we're bringing them up again, when Sanction replaced Sick of It All that one year. And,
okay.
Like, you know, I'm like a really funny guy in the video, and by funny I mean I'm like spin kicking people. And I was like,
you spin kicking people?
I don't know what you're talking about. That's fake news. Yeah, I said it. And then I was like, yeah, that's me. And he was just like, I thought so. And now doesn't like really talk to me anymore, but every once in a while just gives me that look like, yeah.
I know what you did last summer.
Yeah.
I know you. You're American flag pants guy. I've seen you before. I've seen you in action.
I've told all my friends about that.
I've gotten to wrestle in those pants like 3 times, and every time I'm like, I'm waiting for someone to make the connection, and no one ever does, and it really bums me out. No one.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This is absolutely ridiculous conversation we're having.
All the worlds.
So,
Gary, do you have any story like that or no?
What's that?
Do you have any awkward story like that or no?
I mean, like I said, I've had some weird stories where people are like, "Oh, you guys sound like you guys are like Disturbed or something, right?" Like, no, nothing like Disturbed. Absolutely nothing like Disturbed.
Wait, hold on 1 second before you go too far.
Go ahead.
The year is 2003, and my band at the time played Trenton, New Jersey at this club called The Conduit.
Okay.
And because we were it was like a new club. It was right across the street from where they were supposed to have Hellfest in 2005. Like literally, they're across the street from each other. And it's just like this little tiny bar. It doesn't exist anymore. But my mom is like, "Oh, you're playing in town?" And I was like, yeah. She was like, "Don't worry, we're gonna have a crowd." And legitimately, my whole family showed up to the show, and boy. I'm so embarrassed the whole time because I'm like, you guys didn't know what you were getting yourselves into, and I'm like, can you just please stand in the back? Just stand in the back. And like my grandfather and grandmother are there. My grandmother's in a fucking wheelchair hanging out, and I'm just like,
awkward.
This is so fucking awkward.
That's funny.
And then after the set, they're like, "So we liked it, but why do you have to do so much screaming?" And I was just like, "This is why I told you not to come, mother."
Yeah. Whenever it comes to family, I'm just like, they're like, "Oh, so when are you going to be performing in town?" And I'm just
never.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't worry about it. Here's a video. Yeah, that's cool, right?
Yeah, I've had family see me, but our performance involves a little less blood than yours.
Yeah,
just a little. Only a little. But yeah, I mean, I've had my nieces. My nieces were older; they were in their 20s, so they came to see us. Actually, when we played Black and Blue, the first show back, the Black and Blue Bowl, they were there, and then and my kids saw me once when they were really small. We played an outdoor show in the Bronx, and they came out. But that was the only time so far. Who knows? But I've had people that I work with come and like, yeah, that's a little crazy.
Yeah, I haven't brought my son to any shows.
Yeah, I haven't had anything too crazy because a lot of the people that I worked with like were at least had an idea of what was going on, so it wasn't total shocker. They knew not to get anywhere too close.
See, like I don't have anything bad to say about other people bringing their kids to shows because it happens and whatever.
At our age, it happens a lot now.
Yeah, but for me, I have this thing. I don't want to expose him to that thing yet.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So I just haven't brought him out. Maybe one day I will. I don't know. We'll see.
My kids just don't really care. They think it's cool that I'm on YouTube, but they're just not. They get too much pop music from the other side. So I've tried to turn them to the dark side, but it has failed.
My son only likes video games. He doesn't give a shit about music at all. He literally does not care.
Yeah, like my kids are more into bullshit like Taylor Swift. Like I've tried, but can't break it. I can't break it. I've tried.
The first time my kids came to watch me be the American Beetle. I didn't realize
which is your family-friendly character, by the way.
Yes.
Let's point that out.
That is very true. That's also very true. So I didn't realize it was going to happen. It was like a fundraising thing at the time too for like these two or three different schools in Queens, and I was like, well, hey, I got these people that do fundraisers on Long Island, and they'll get people there to like help out, and they just want to be a part of the show. And they're like, well, what do you mean? How's this going to happen? I'm like, don't worry, you'll find out. So I do my entrance, arriving to the building in the Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters. And then the Ghostbusters bring me to the ring. And right off the bat, now the fact that I'm in this like Beetle Power Ranger-esque type costume, my kids think I'm like a superhero. It's like that episode in that scene in Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he's like, my dad's Turbo Man. So my kids are stoked on that, and now they think I'm like friends with the fucking Ghostbusters. And,
oh my God.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But like the pictures I saw, they were like super concerned and like, oh my God, is my dad dead? And like, it was awesome.
That's hysterical.
I also love Jingle All the Way.
I honestly have never seen that movie, so I mean I know what you're talking about, but I've never seen it.
I'm sure I saw it, but a long time ago.
I don't like Christmas.
Phil Hartman, Sinbad, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and The Big Show is in the movie.
Okay, so
oh God, I forgot.
The only person you've mentioned that I actually like is The Big Show. So this is not. No, I don't care about Phil Hartman. I don't care that he's dead. I don't care anything about it. He means nothing to me.
Hot take.
It's not a person. Like I don't even hate him. Like it just doesn't mean anything to me.
You're just not a fan. You're one of the few. I'm surprised.
Like I don't even know anything he was even in. That's how little I know about Phil Hartman.
Wow. Okay.
Well, just watch that movie. You don't even need to watch it like when it's Christmas time out. It's a very funny movie.
The only Christmas movies that I actually like are Elf because it's just so absurd.
Likes fucking Elf, but won't watch. Whatever. Continue.
Whatever. I saw it once or twice. It was funny. Bad Santa.
Bad Santa is pretty funny.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
A Christmas Story, because if you were a kid growing up in the 80s, you had to have watched that movie 950 times.
You're
That's
like
true.
An asshole or a homeschool kid if you haven't seen the movie.
And then Christmas Vacation. After that, I don't really care about any other Christmas movies.
Home Alone, really?
Yeah, whatever. That's not a Christmas movie.
That's the one spot. Because we were talking about like going to see like movie locations. That's the one spot every time I go to Chicago that I always
go there.
I want to, and I miss out on it every time.
The next time the last time I was in Chicago, we went to play the Rumble Fest, and we went and actually saw the Shameless House, But the next time I'm in Chicago, I am going to find the two houses from Ferris Bueller. I'm going to find them.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that either. We went, when I was in Chicago for the Rumble, we went to the Married with Children fountain.
Yeah, I did that too.
I forget what else we saw.
Damn.
My favorite Christmas movie is Silent Night, Deadly Night, but that's another
Well,
story.
that's okay. I enjoy that one too, but I didn't even think of that being necessarily a Christmas movie because it's a horror movie.
What could be more Christmas? What's that?
Which one?
Have you ever seen the newest Krampus movie?
No, I didn't.
It's very good. It's all funny people in it too, and it's like super B movie type like setting. It's very good.
Maybe I'll give it a minute.
Yeah, I might give it a shot. I never saw any of them.
My problem is
There's only one.
I don't like.
I thought there was more than one.
I don't like new horror movies.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Like the last newer horror movie that I watched that I actually enjoyed was Hereditary, but that's more of a suspense movie and with like a little horror element at the end. And then the Babadook, like fucking ruined 2 nights for me because it's just so fucking. That kid in the movie is so creepy, and then the concept of the movie is creepy. It's not like I couldn't sleep, but it was just like clanging around in my brain, and I'm like, if I ever see that book, I'm burning it. I'm not gonna open it and just gonna fucking burn it on the spot.
Hereditary, that movie fucked me up.
Yo, that was such. It was a shame that she did not get some sort of award for the acting in that movie because it was so good.
The scene with the bird and the scissors. Oh my god!
Yes.
Hated that. So the
I still have to watch it.
Whoa! We can't talk about this now.
Done.
Well, we talked about it before, Len.
Ren,
but
I didn't know. We were talking about it, and I didn't know that you didn't see.
I said in that conversation that I hadn't seen it.
I don't remember that.
It's one of those things. I said, yeah, I'll go check it out, and then it slipped my mind. But
all right,
I gotta be in the right frame of mind to watch any of these newer horror movies anyway.
All right, let me.
I'm not a big fan.
Fucking clear with you right now. I know you said, "Oh, maybe I'll go back and watch Napoleon Dynamite." Fuck that movie. Go watch Hereditary.
Yeah, start with Hereditary and then do Napoleon Dynamite. Cleanse your palate after.
Yeah, because what was the other movie that we talked about that I watched? Oh, Possessor.
I want to see Possessor, but I didn't see it yet.
Yeah, see, that's like the first horror movie that I watched in quite a while because Ren talked about it, and it was actually good.
I trust Ren's
fucked up.
On
it's fucked up, but it was good. Yeah, I trust his perspective too, except for fucking Season of the Witch.
Yeah, well.
So quick.
We got little dicks.
Yeah.
Quick Hereditary story. I'm at Comic-Con, right, the year, like, it was still active right before the plague. And I was like, man, that person is so unfortunate looking. And it's just a little girl from the movie just walking around.
Really?
And I was like, geez, she is still beat. Because she's like next level ugly in that movie. And I feel terrible saying that, but she's like mother can love face in that movie. And then in person, you're like, oh, that's a shoot. That's not a work. Damn. Nice.
Wait, that's your shoot face? Oh,
god damn it.
Man.
Talk newer horror movies. I'm going to recommend, and you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this, Crawl. Go watch Crawl.
Okay.
It's an alligator movie in Florida. It's insane.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing trailers and stuff for it.
Yeah, and in theory, you're like, this should be bad, but it's not.
Yeah, I won't fuck with it because water. Like,
excuse me?
Water. My dad took me to see Jaws when I was like 3. Ruined me. Like, I won't go anywhere near water.
Yeah, well, after I watch Jaws, I can't go like swimming in a pool for like a week, but like that doesn't mean I'm not gonna like watch a movie.
Like, I won't even, when it comes to water shit, most of the time I won't even watch unless it's something stupid. like fucking Sharknado.
Yeah, that is.
That's about it. Like,
all right, so Ren brought this up on a previous episode. The trailer for Lamb. Did either of you see this trailer yet?
No.
No.
Oh fuck! It's from the people that did Hereditary. Well, it's from the movie house that did Hereditary and Midsummer, etc.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so it's a slow build, and then it just gets insane at the end.
Yeah, I didn't see the movie yet because it didn't come out, but I am intending to go see this absolutely absurd movie. And like the trailer doesn't really dig into exactly what's going on, but you know that it has to be somewhat satanic. And the way it looks, it seems as if that the lamb is born half human, half lamb.
Oh, jeez, that shit freaks me out.
Yeah, bro. So
I can't fuck with that. What was that other movie that came out? Was it Splice or something?
I don't know. I didn't see that.
There was a movie where it was like some sort of like hybrid.
Yeah,
and I was like, I can't fuck with that at all.
I am 100% going to go to this movie probably with Ren, and I'm probably going to do a review on it.
Yeah, that shit weirds me out. Like any of that fucking cross DNA shit. Yeah, because what's that thing on Netflix right now that everybody talks about? Sweet Tooth.
Yeah, it's based on a comic.
Yeah, I can't fuck with that either.
Growing up, Gary was like, I hate Animorphs.
Yeah, that shit is weird to me. Unless you slap a Marvel name on it, then I'll probably fuck with it. Cause, you know.
He's like, Beast Boy from DC. I love him, though. Oh. But when it comes to Animorphs, that's weird.
Yeah, that shit is weird.
Oh, man.
So let's take this conversation in a whole different direction for a minute.
Sure.
Steve, tell us about your relationship with wrestling. Like, how did you get into wrestling, as a kid, and then how did you actually become a wrestler?
Okay, so I will speed around through this because we don't need to really dive in. As a kid, I don't know where they came from, but I inherited those like big rubber figures. It'd be like Andre the Giant, Hillbilly.
Oh, the LJNs, yeah.
Everybody had Hillbilly Jim. I don't know why, but it's a thing. And you'd see it on TV, and it was like ooh, ah. And then I want to say about 4th grade. This is probably the start of the Monday Night Wars. Steve Austin, Kane, Undertaker, all of these people. It was just like, holy shit. And then on the other channel, you have the NWO, and then you had I'm not gonna lie, I loved like Rey Mysterio, like Ultimo Dragon was on there.
Yep.
You're gonna hate me for saying this. Vampiro with either ICP or with the Misfits.
You know what? Can I tell you a crazy secret?
Sure.
I don't like ICP's music at all.
Yeah.
But I like them in the ring.
They're terrible in the ring too.
They weren't.
I love the idea of these big stupid idiots walking around with Vampiro. That was cool.
I thought. Listen, they weren't anything special in the ring, but I liked them doing that a lot. If it kept them away from making music, then I was all for it. I was totally in. I just thought that little group they had was cool.
Also, for some reason, as a kid, and this is before I got into like whatever music I'm into, the Headbangers, I loved them. And here we are, so it's kind of weird. I worked a show once for Michael Graves before we knew he was a terrible person. And
yes. Okay.
Only thing I wanted to talk to him about was WCW, and he, after 5 minutes, was like, "You need to get away from me." He was like, "I don't want to talk about this," and I'm like, "But no, tell me about." And okay, so continuing on.
Before you continue, I'll tell you a quick funny Misfit story.
Sure.
I used to work for Red Distribution, which was owned by Sony, and they used to have a convention every year. And one year, this was like the year 99 or 2000. One year they had, and it's like a convention, so it's like a lot of like the corporate suit types, and then you got us other guys that work in the office that are all running around in fucking, hardcore t-shirts and like wrestling shit. And like they had the Misfits perform one night.
Oh, wow.
And we end up just chilling with the Misfits. The only time I ever met the guys from the Misfits, like I'm sitting there with like Jerry Only, because I happened to be wearing an ECW shirt that day.
Yeah.
And then we just ended up like talking wrestling for a while. And it's just like the one time I met the Misfits, like we just sat there talking wrestling. And that was it. It was just funny.
That's sick. Good story.
Yeah. The random little Misfits side story. Anyway, so go on.
So then when I got to be like just about 18, I was booking like shows. This is actually at a show where I booked a mirror for $60 at this place called Village Pub South, which is now like a staple venue on Long Island. But at the time, it was owned by some other guy. And he's like, "Oh, I know you're like a mark." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" And that's my little voice. I don't really sound like that. But
yes, you do. Stop it.
Yeah,
come on now.
I'm actually just Mickey Mouse. So he would be like, "Oh, I know you're like athletic and like, you're into wrestling." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course. That's like the best things ever." And he's like, "Hey, I might be opening a school. I was trained by Mikey Whipwreck. You want to like," he's being like super corny to me. And, he's like, "Do you want to like train?" You're like a cool guy. So like, I'll give you a deal. And like, he did give me a good deal or whatever. So, I was supposed to start training. And then I went to a hardcore show like an idiot and broke my arm.
Oh.
And then as soon as the cast came off, I'm like, "Okay, I'm ready. Let's start training now." And within the first week of the cast coming off, I went and started. And we're going through drills. And he didn't teach the classes like he said he was going to. This jackass guy taught classes who was like under that mentality that you had to be like a drill instructor. Mm-hmm. And that's not real. I mean, for some people it works, but most people it does not work.
Right.
And I'm like, "Hey man, I have no problem doing these drills and I'll gladly do them. But like, I just kind of had the cast come off like a few days ago. Like maybe I shouldn't be putting all this pressure on this arm." And he's like, No, you should. So in the drill, you have to do like 10 back bumps, 10 front bumps, 10 flip bumps, and then 10 of your slowest push-ups that he would be like, "Okay, you can go all the way up, you can go all the way down." And I want to say push-up number 4, arm just snapped again. Yeah. And then I went through this really awful phase of like not really liking wrestling. And then I came back to it. And that same guy was like, "Hey, I'm reopening my school, but closer to you. You should join." And I was like, "Okay." And then I did, and then trained, and then I was refereeing. And then one night they were like, "Hey, we're going to do this thing with this company called Kaiju Big Battle. Do you want to wrestle on it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that would be great." And they were like, "All right, you're going to be a big potato." And I was this character called Silver Potato who's from like outer space and likes to breakdance. And and it was like the most fun I ever had. And then I kept doing it. And I've been all over. It's been great. And now we're here. And then the pandemic happened and we leased the characters out. And I have now become Dr. Cube, and I'm this evil jerk sometimes, or I'm the American Beetle. I'm this really nice guy sometimes.
As we know, I much prefer the heels.
Yeah. So, well, to be fair,
the
Dr. Cube that you see with me is a little bit different than the Dr. Cube that we normally have in Kaiju Big Battle, who's a little bit more PG-13.
Oh, yeah.
Which he's still really mean and pretty awful to people. But, I definitely amp it up a little bit, because when I first started doing it, the guy from VXS was like, "Hey, I want you to be, like, rated R." So,
he was like, "Go in on it, son."
Yeah. So I did.
And you were like, "Okay, sure."
And, I tweaked it a little bit, made it a little bit more hard. I do those cool promos now, which are sick. And here we are.
I will say, by the way, that a certain somebody within the organization of VXS had mentioned to me that they really love that you do your own promos and how cool they are.
Oh, well, that's nice. I like that.
So,
I also really enjoy Len's quote from your past podcast episode of, "I have so much respect for how much disrespect that I have for my body."
Dude, can we talk about this for a minute? Can we just talk about this for a minute? The things that you chose to do, because you chose to do them yourself. It's like you planned these things.
They were all literally my idea.
It was my idea.
Every single one was my idea.
You could write them down on a list, and they'd be the list of things that Len would absolutely never ask someone to do to him. Not once.
So, also because you really like Too Cold Scorpio, when we were calling the match, I was like, "Hey, man, there's this spot I like to do where you turn," and I'm talking to my opponent, where I turn the chair upside down and put it in the corner. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" So then I showed my, because it's so insane sounding. So I showed my opponent the way the chair is supposed to be in the corner. And then Scorpio walks over and goes, "What are y'all doing?" And I explain the spot, and he goes, "Nah, you're crazy. Nah." And I was just like, okay, Too Cold Scorpio just said this. That's insane.
Hence why when I saw you do it, I literally winced in the corner. Yeah, like Gary will tell you that I basically came out of my chair in pain for you.
I love that.
And then I looked up and you were squirming. You literally squirmed from one corner to the other, just trying to roll it off.
Yeah, heck, you got to do it, right? I did a spot in this most recent weekend I just had where, like I said, all my coworkers came, and one of my friends who came, he's this big bodybuilder guy. His name's Adam, and he's this big macho guy, and he's like, "Dude, I couldn't watch your finish. I had to keep looking away. That was disgusting what you did." And what I did was we laid out a bunch of thumbtacks, and then I'm sure you've seen the movie American History X.
Yeah.
And,
I saw this video.
Yeah, where I curb stomped him into the thumbtacks. And my coworker was just like, "Dude, I just couldn't watch it, man. That was disgusting."
Oh man,
It looked great though. It was sick.
It did look great. I mean, if by great you mean really fucked up.
Yeah.
I want to go back to just one thing.
Sure.
The thing I think I liked the most about VSX, short of just the other things that we talked about already, was actually the ref, the black guy. His count to two.
That dude is so funny.
His count to two and stop, and then his explanation afterwards has been in my head permanently. Two. I came down and he got his shoulder up, and I'm like, it was just a two. It was a two, and I'm like, this is perfect.
They toned him down a little bit because in the past shows they would have him quote unquote read the rules at the beginning.
Okay.
And he would say some real funny shit, but I guess it just got to be too much. But he would say some hysterical shit.
I'm on board for that.
It was definitely entertaining.
Well, it's weird when you're like, "Hey, no closed fist, but if you guys want to go outside and fight with chairs, go for it." Doesn't make any sense. Nick's a really nice guy, and he's very animated, which is good because there's nothing worse than when a ref is like, "Oh, my head just exploded," and the ref is like, "Okay, do I count now?"
Right.
You want something super they're gonna sell it along for you and enhance the spots more.
No, he was definitely enhancing my enjoyment of all the matches that he reffed. I was like, all right, he's making this enjoyable. So if he's listening, kudos to him. It was a good time.
Yeah, VXS is cool because it's a little bit of everything, and they definitely try to go for that ECW vibe. It's a modern vibe.
Yeah.
And when I say ECW vibe, I don't mean crazy shit. I mean it's more so it's a mature viewing, so to say.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not family friendly.
Yeah,
which I'm fine with.
But like they know their crowd. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and they give that crowd what they want. But I can appreciate that as opposed to someone who doesn't understand stuff like that. But yeah, whatever.
I will say that's one weird thing with indie wrestling right now, because over the years you always had some companies that were more family friendly or like very family friendly, like Chikara, but then like now it's like you see these kids like why is a 7-year-old cheering for Nick Gage?
Yeah,
it's a little fucking weird, but that's what happens. Some of these people take their kids out to a wrestling show, and I guess they just don't care. But like, it's pretty weird to go, especially like when you see an all deathmatch promotion, and like these guys are bringing out like their young kids, and I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, that sounds weird to me.
But that's what some people do.
I got like a ton of shit because like I don't know, it was like 5th or 6th grade. They're like, oh, so what's your favorite movie? And I was like, Silence of the Lambs. And they're like, nah, we're calling home for that one.
You know what? I'm going to tell you right now. I was obviously a lot older than you when you saw that, but that movie is still in my top 10 of all time greatest movies.
Movie.
Dude, it's a banger. Anthony Hopkins. Oof.
And talk about quotable movies. That movie is quotable all over the place.
Now, next time you watch it, I want you to immediately watch the Transformers movie that he's in, so you can hate him after.
Oh God!
Because in that movie, he tries to talk like Snoop Dogg, and I don't like that.
Oh,
no,
God.
No.
Yeah.
The only person that should be talking like Snoop Dogg is fucking Snoop Dogg.
Agreed. But Anthony Hopkins, what an actor.
Yeah, he must have lost a bet to be in that movie.
Well, it's called Your Paycheck, and it's great.
Yeah, some things aren't worth the paycheck, but I didn't like any of those Transformers movies, so whatever.
You know,
motherfucker, I do a bunch of shit I don't like for money. it's out there.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Also true.
I mean, not all of us get thrown onto folding chairs for funsies either.
That's easy shit, though, man. You know, that's easy.
Says you.
Yeah, says me indeed.
But then again, I mean, 47 ain't nobody throwing me on a fucking chair. I'll be out for a week.
I will say that match, I don't think I've ever broken so many chairs to the point where they were unsittable or unfoldable with my body.
Oh my God.
When's the next time you're wrestling? Tell me that.
Okay,
wait, no. Let me caveat that. When's the next time you're wrestling in New Jersey? Like, near me. So I'm talking, like, either, like, kind of near New York City, but in the north, or down by Philadelphia in the south. Because, no, you're not going to be wrestling in Trenton. I know that.
At Matt Tremont's spot, which I'm sure Gary will know where that is.
Williamstown, New Jersey.
Yeah. Okay.
No, that's November. October is VXS, October 23rd.
Okay.
And
that's Ridgefield Park, but
that's up here north. Again. Okay, yeah. I'm good with that. Yeah, because their next show, as we mentioned on last week's episode, is in Los Angeles. So hope they have fun.
As long as I don't have anything booked in the studio for that day, I will come watch you obliterate your body. How about that?
Yes.
What was the date on that, you said, Steve?
October 23rd, and it's a Saturday.
Nice. Yeah, I will definitely...
I can actually look at my calendar right now and give you at least a rough estimate of whether I will be there.
Yep, I have it on my calendar already.
There's nothing on my calendar right now for that weekend. The following weekend is booked, but not that.
I get Tom to come and say hi to you.
Hopefully by then we'll have already practiced, and then it won't be weird for him to come say hi to me.
And you guys can bring me federal donuts this time.
Well, how about this? He can pick them up, and then he can bring them because he'll be coming from south to north. For me to have to go down to Philadelphia to drive to North Jersey is just not happening.
I can also bring you better donuts from Brooklyn, and I hate admitting that there's better donuts than Federal.
How is there better donuts than Federal donuts?
This is controversial.
This doesn't sound.
Stockwell Donut Plant, and they are far superior to Federal. And I will listen. When it comes to Philadelphia, I'll say Federal is number 1, and then number 2 is Hello Donuts. And that's
Hello Donuts are pretty good.
Fridays, the Fritter Fridays. That's when you have to go.
Okay, so answer me this. Well, riddle me this, Riddler.
Ooh.
The donuts at this place in Brooklyn that you're talking about, are they cakey donuts or are they like the fried yeasty donuts?
They do both.
They do both. Okay. Because what I'll say is that the ones in Federal Donut are generally cakey donuts, and I like those more than I like yeasty donuts.
This place is actually the inventor of the square-filled donut.
Square-filled donut, okay.
Yeah.
Does that mean you get more, like, filling area? Is that, like, the point of the square?
It's a perfect ratio. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the name of this place again?
Donut Plant. And there is one in Queens. I think there's 2 in Brooklyn and 1 in Manhattan.
So, answer me this. Out of a 1 to 10...
Okay.
What are you giving Federal Donuts?
Federal,
and I'm talking just their like regular hot donuts like you brought, not the specialty donuts.
Oh, I brought specialty donuts too.
I know, but I'm just asking for
their regular hot donuts. I'm gonna give that a 6.5. Their specialty donuts, I'm giving an 8.
Okay, and then what are you giving this Donut Planet Rock?
Plant, not
rock.
Planet. It's Donut Plant.
Plant. Okay.
Plant.
Man, I don't think there's any such thing as a perfect donut, so I'm going to say 9.5.
Okay. Then I'll take your challenge, and I will consume whatever donuts you have. Just no strawberry. No strawberry. I don't fuck with strawberries.
Are you going to tell people you wrestled the donut again, or whatever you guys were talking about last time?
I might.
Yeah, here we go. Filled square donuts.
Yeah, see? He's on here.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
This is very interesting.
Insane spot, man. It's crazy. The coffee's a little overrated, but it's the same thing as Federal, too. The coffee is... The price alone makes it overrated.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit about coffee because I don't drink it.
I don't drink it either, so...
It tastes like dirty water.
Oh, you're one of those.
Can leave that shit out there. Bring the donuts.
Yep. Deal. We'll bring donuts.
Oh, look, they even got vegan donuts.
Yeah.
John Wren, we got something for you.
All I know is the only thing that I go to Brooklyn specifically to get
pizza?
Is a roast. No, fuck pizza. I'm from New Jersey. New Jersey pizza's better than.
Whoa.
All right, we're gonna dive in. We're gonna do this right now.
No, wait. Let me finish let me finish my fucking statement, and then we can do it. The reason that I go eat things in Brooklyn is specifically Brennan and Carr, because their roast beef sandwiches to die for, specifically the au jus.
That's what we're going for?
Yep.
Au jus?
Yeah, bro. Because it's just like they've got a au jus fucking machine that just keeps cycling that bitch, and they've been cycling that same au jus for like the last 30 years, and it just has this depth of flavor that you can't get anywhere else. I actually bought an extra cup of it to bring home because I wanted more of it because I'm sitting there eating it.
Sitting in your freezer right now?
No, I've already used it, but I had one, and the next time I go, I'm going to do the same fucking thing. I'm like, can I get a little extra of that? So
in my head, he's just like sitting in his chair and now just bear clawing au jus.
Just sip. No, like I have a little snifter of it, and I'm just sipping it.
My God.
God.
So you want to argue about pizza right now? You don't want this fucking argument.
No. This is how friendships end, man. Come on.
Gary, where is the best pizza you've ever had?
Mars Park Pizza in the Bronx. Neighborhood has gone to shit, but it's the same guy. making the same big ass fat slices, and they're so goddamn good.
Okay, this is gonna be the hottest take for you guys. The best pizza in America is New Haven, Connecticut.
Bullshit.
What are you gonna say, Pepe's?
No, I'm a modern guy, but Pepe's is a close second.
Okay.
And if you don't believe me, that's another you can pull up on Google right now about New Haven, Connecticut pizza.
Oh no, Jason Rook has already told me that the next time I come up there, he's bringing me to get some fucking New Haven pizza, and I'm fine with trying it. But I am a disbeliever in this because there's nothing about Connecticut that says to me good pizza.
Okay, and
I will say,
New Yorker, I was the exact same way, and then I went over there, and I was just like, "Oh, good God, this is fantastic."
It's not bad because there's a Frank Pepe's in Yonkers, maybe 15 minutes north of the Bronx. So I've been there before.
Not the same.
Doesn't
count.
I don't think I've been to the one in New Haven, but I don't remember. It's not bad. But it's not. It doesn't compare to Bronx pizza.
All right, so if for some odd reason the three of us end up in Seaside together, we're going to Maruca's Pizza.
Deal.
Because it is my favorite pizza, and to say that my favorite pizza is on a fucking dumbass boardwalk in Seaside means that the pizza must be that fucking good.
That's a bold statement.
Right. So
what was the place that we went to when I was down there, Len?
You came to my second favorite pizza place called Papa's. It's
that place
tomato
was
pie.
good.
And technically, Maruca's is a tomato pie. It's not pizza. It's a Trenton thing. So Maruca's is a company that started in Trenton. They used to have 2 locations, and over time they expanded to having a Seaside location, and now they also have a location in Asbury Park, but they've closed both Trenton locations. You cannot get it here anymore. You have to go to the shore because, it's much nicer to live at the shore in New Jersey and make that shore money than it is to fight the Trenton crowd. Yeah. So, my favorite pizza on the planet is Maruca's Pizza. Now, the key to this pizza is that they use a blend of cheeses. And it's mozzarella, as you expect. And it's a super, super mild cheddar that you don't even know that it's in there. It's that mild. But it makes the pizza taste a specific way. They got the fucking swirl of tomato sauce and then whatever toppings. I know Gary's not really a topping guy, but even the plain pizza is, boom, to die for. This is
Toppings are key.
Huh?
Toppings are key.
I'm a pepperoni guy. Like, if you got a pepperoni pizza, I'm in. I'm 100% in. There are other toppings that I'll deal with, but plain or pepperoni is my immediate go-to, because if you can't make either one of those be good, none of the rest of your pizza is good.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah, everybody talks about Brooklyn pizza and like Queens places, and I'm like, nah.
You're the only person I've ever heard defend Bronx over Brooklyn pizza.
That's because people are scared to come to the Bronx because they think it's like fucking Fort Apache and shit.
or like, other than the zoo, they're like, there is nothing to do in the Bronx. Why on earth would I ever go there?
Yeah, that and maybe you'll get some people that are like, ooh, Arthur Avenue, but that's about it. Like everybody else thinks that the Bronx looks like fucking Escape from New York. Like it's not.
Okay, one last thing, real quick, and I hope this isn't controversial because then I'll know where our friends are.
And by the way, listen, if that's what keeps people out of the Bronx, then I'm fine with that.
All right.
Just like the people getting chased away from the Joker stairs.
Hold on. Before you say this, in the chat, I'm about to drop a fucking picture of Maruca's Pizza. All right? It'll just let me hit this fucking picture, and then you guys can take a look at it, and you'll see what the fuck I'm talking about. this shit is delicious, and kiss my whole entire ass.
That's not bad.
It's fucking...
Oh, that looks good. I would eat that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have no problem with that.
The dough is perfect. Like, everything about this pizza all the way around is great. The sauce is great. The cheese is blended together. Great. The dough itself is great.
I'm very intrigued.
So the last time I was in Seaside,
yep,
I did spot 6 Proud Boys walking around in full regalia.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
So we could eat pizza
and smash Proud Boys.
Yes.
Even better. That's good. I like that. Deep dish pizza. Is it pizza or Italian dinner?
It's Italian dinner, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate it.
I'm not a fan. I tried it in Chicago
but
and
it should
was
not
not.
be pizza.
It's not pizza.
No,
it's
it's
the
not
same
pizza.
people that are like, oh, well, a hot dog is a sandwich. No, it's not.
No,
it's a hot
Jesus.
dog.
Hot dog. Are these the same people that tell you that that pork roll is Taylor ham, and it's the Taylor ham on the fucking package says it's fucking pork roll? Get the fuck out of here! It's goddamn pork roll.
Okay, so I didn't know what Taylor ham was until this weekend, where some guy was introduced from being from New Jersey, and they chanted Taylor ham at him.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, it's not Taylor ham. It's fucking pork. It's pork roll. That's it. Steve Huey.
Right.
Dr. Cube. Thank you for being on the upgrade.
Yeah, this was great. I would do it again.
You should definitely come back sometime.
We'll have to arrange a pizza outing.
I'm on board for this.
We could settle some of this shit. Which
the 23rd, I will bring you donuts. You bring me pizza.
But donuts work in a long distance situation.
Yeah,
pizza don't fucking work.
Yeah, that can be tough.
I get it. This relationship goes one way. It's okay.
I mean, if you really want pizza, I'll bring you. I'll bring you a whole fucking pie, baby. But
dude, I'll bring you Mars Park pizza. But like,
I'm not standing by cold pizza as the standard for whether you like it or not. That's all.
See, here's the thing you got to understand, and I know this from taking this trip yesterday to Ridgefield Park. Going from the Bronx to Ridgefield Park is just like 2 towns over from Fort Lee, so it's it's right over the George. In theory, it should be like a 20-minute ride, but usually
it's like a 4-hour ride.
It's like an hour ride, and like 40 minutes of that is the Cross Bronx Expressway.
Good God.
And that's just the way it is, because we did it yesterday, and we always laugh about it because I went with my girlfriend, and we're just like, yeah, we spend most of this ride sitting in this traffic on the fucking Cross Bronx, because as soon as you get off the bridge, it's like 3 turns and you're there.
Yeah.
So the pizza will get cold just sitting on the fucking Cross Bronx fucking parking lot.
My last anecdote. Went to New England Metal Fest one year, and I decided, all right, I'm just going to drive home tonight after whatever the last show was of that weekend. I'm not going to stay over. I'm just going to go home. I want to go home. So I left Worcester at, I think it was like 1 o'clock.
Okay.
3 o'clock, I'm on the Cross Bronx Expressway. I mean, I was flying from Worcester. I was set to make it home in exactly 3.5 hours. I was set.
That's good.
I sat on the Cross Bronx Expressway for 4.5 hours in the middle of the night. I got home at 10 in the morning. I should have just stayed there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because during the day, you'll get traffic because of just sheer volume. But at night, they start doing the construction bullshit.
Well, it was 2 things. It was 2 things. Someone flipped their car and died.
Well, that happens a lot too.
And then there was construction.
Yeah.
So I hit both of those, and it totally fucked me. So I'm like falling asleep at the fucking wheel, just sitting there. Like, I'm like, I could have just stayed in fucking Boston or in Worcester and just fucking slept there. I could have just slept there.
Happens all the time. Listen, coming back from the wrestling show yesterday, we went all the way up to Rockland to where my mother is to go across the Tappan Zee and back down. And looking at the times on the GPS, that only added 10 minutes.
That's bad.
That's
at
how
least you were
shitty.
moving.
That was the whole thing. We were like, well, it's 10 extra minutes, but we'll actually be moving. So that's what we did because the traffic just sucks so fucking bad in both directions.
Yeah.
If
I can avoid going across that bridge, I avoid it at all costs. I would rather drive through one of the tunnels and cut through the damn city than to get stuck on those on that fucking bridge.
It's terrible. It's terrible. The as much as I love the Bronx, the Cross Bronx Expressway can scratch my fucking ass. that shit is the pits.
I feel you.
The absolute pits. Like I said, Ridgefield Park should be quick 20-minute drive. But instead, it's like an hour, and most of it is just sitting in traffic.
Ridiculous.
And that's silly. Anyway, thank you, Steve, for coming on.
It was my pleasure.
And
Thank you.
Talking movies and wrestling.
Damn near everything.
Not talking that much
fucking and Soulseek.
Kazaa.
Oh, boy. Anything else to add, gentlemen?
No.
Nope.
Where else, Steve? You mentioned VXS. Anywhere else you're going to be wrestling soon that you want to mention?
I know November I'm going to Texas for Heavy Metal Pro.
Nice.
In October I'm going to Pittsburgh for Enjoy Wrestling. And then Kaiju Big Battle just has a ton of shows coming up. We have Florida, we have New Jersey, we have everywhere. Blitzkrieg Pro, you can go see me there all the time too. In November, I'm wrestling at a retro video game con there in Connecticut. Wow. So maybe that's your excuse to go to Connecticut and get good pizza. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Is Kaiju still doing something in Brooklyn in October, or is that not happening?
October 2nd, unless this new variant, whatever thing is going to make the world explode again, then we'll see.
I unfortunately will not be there because I am actually playing a show in Long Island, but I would encourage everyone else to go and watch giant monsters wrestle.
I like that we're flip-flopping there.
Yes. It's funny how that works.
Yeah, that's all I got though. So come
cool.
to a show. I post about them all the time.
Yep, go check out Dr. Cube or American Beetle.
Yeah, either one. Nice guys.
Yeah, do you want to mention any social media, anything?
I'm Steve X Huey on Instagram. I'm just me on Facebook, and then I don't do Twitter. I don't do that.
That's for the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I avoid.
That's bottom of the barrel right there.
Yeah, I avoid Twitter. Nothing but
wrestling.
problems.
Twitter is like a big deal, but I can't do it. I can't do it. Less exposure to my phone is a better thing.
Understandable.
Yeah, I agree completely. Anyway, thanks again, Steve. We are out. Come find us on Soulseek. TheUpgradePodcast.net. Unfortunately, our Angel Fire page is down right now.
But our Friendster profile is up.
Find us on Friendster and Soulseek and Kazaa.
But we're not on Napster because fuck Metallica.
No. And we'll be back up on MySpace soon. Anyway, theupgradepodcast.net for all that fun stuff, and we will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.